following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
It is a rare Sunday edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Geico on DallasCowboys.com as we are 46 days away from kickoff of the 2021 NFL season, and the Cowboys certainly underway here at Training Camp 2021. Kyle Yeomans, Mickey Spagnola. We've got Rob Phillips. And Rob, how about this? We've got Spagnola on time today.
I found him in the cafeteria this morning. I said, we do have a show, so let's go. And I followed him to his room and made sure that he followed me to the trailer, and then we got out here.
I needed no help.
Did you?
I needed no help.
You just needed a nudge.
I was up.
I gave you a nudge.
A reminder.
Nope, I knew.
Did you get your bike ride, sunrise bike ride in
today? Was a day of rest for these old legs.
Oh, okay. That's good. They need that every once in a while.
It's regeneration day, right? Regen.
You and McCarthy worked out your schedule?
Regen today. Absolutely.
Oh, McCarthy and Mickey in cahoots with the regeneration schedule. But there is no regeneration this weekend for the Cowboys. We're kind of sandwiched in between a couple of practices. It's the first days of back-to-back practices out here in Oxnard, practice number 2 yesterday. Any general thoughts to get us kicked off of what you saw yesterday, Rob?
Well, I thought the second practice was it's too early to say win for defense, win for offense, but I thought Dak Prescott was terrific, especially in the 2-minute work. I think he had one incompletion and probably a touchdown pass. They didn't give the last throw to Noah Brown because he was clearly out of bounds, had a great catch to go get it, but he might have scored the play before. But I just thought Dak showed really good command in that scenario and connection with his wide receivers. He hasn't been in team drills since really before the injury last October. So this is kind of new for him to get back into full practice, and I thought it was a good day for him, and there were certain defensive players that definitely stood out as well.
Yeah, it wasn't 11-on-9 or whatever they did in OTAs and minicamp, or the defensive line wasn't there. And so he had a little clutter around him. And, it takes a while when you haven't played quarterback to get back on the field and see things. You got to get used to all the congestion out there. And, you can do all the drills you want, but you got to be out there and see things. And that's why, he knows, it may not be the first preseason game. He needs to play in preseason. There's no doubt about it. I remember when Tony Romo had missed the one of the seasons that he missed, and his point was, I need to play in preseason because I need to remind myself of the congestion. I need to remind myself that I got to look to see where the play clock is and be mindful of the play clock and just get used to being on the field with everybody and all the noise. And he thought preseason was important for him. Now, unfortunately, he did a little too much the one preseason and got hurt. But, yeah, it's necessary. So, yeah, I thought it was a better day for him. And then just all around, probably a better day for the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb with another one-handed catch.
Cedric Wilson with a one-handed catch.
Cedric Wilson pulled one in.
The rookie.
Fihoko. Nice deep ball catch. Yep. So, yeah, but then the defense made some plays, too. I finally saw Calvin Joseph get a hand on a football or two. So that was somewhat new because we haven't seen him practice. And it's going to take him some time, too. So, yeah, I thought all in all it was a pretty good day. And, by the way, the coaching staff or the training staff probably would pick a bone with you about the first back-to-back practice because they consider the conditioning day like a practice for all the running they did. So they did running, practice, regen, practice now today before tomorrow's official day off because they don't have to like go to meetings or anything
go
like
out
that.
And condition and run.
Yeah.
One more thing about Dak, because Kellen Moore said something interesting during his podium talk about how as a quarterback You want to get hit coming off an injury. It feels good. It feels like you're kind of knocked back into the game. I don't want to see too much of that from Dak Prescott, and that's my question to Mickey is like, how much do you want to see him in preseason? Because, yeah, I agree with you. He probably feel the game, get back out there, but I don't want him tested too much from Mike McCarthy.
I can probably manage that by the plays I call as an offensive coordinator. I can get a couple quick throws over the middle. I don't want them to see him doing scramble drill in preseason games.
Yeah, please, no, thank you.
Hey, that's where Tony got in trouble in 2016.
And I don't want to see him running with the ball. You just throw it away or throw it in the ground in disgust. That play has gone away in training camp. Troy Aikman was great at it. When he would get pissed off at guys not doing what they were supposed to do, or they didn't run a right route, or the blocking wasn't right, he'd throw the ball on the ground, and then you'd hear him cussing, like, come on, But he would, when you saw him throw the ball on the ground, you knew he wasn't happy.
Sounds like you.
Yeah.
You're not happy with us.
That's right. I'll throw the mic in the ground.
Yeah, whenever we
come on,
let's go.
Take our break, and Mickey's just throwing his headset across the table, and Beamer's over in the corner, like covering his ears for safety. But continuing on with a little bit of this Dak Prescott talk and the importance of getting those reps in the preseason, because sure, I don't know if there's been a guy in the past that's been so open about flipping a switch between practice and the game, about forcing things and trying some things out in practice and kind of pushing the limits to know whenever game time comes around, then that's what you can and cannot do, and it allows you to be successful. However, he hasn't played football in almost a full year. So maybe he needs to go and look at the timing and look at the decision-making that you have to have against an actual NFL defense in real game-time action like a preseason, instead of maybe sitting out and just having one drive here and one drive there. And then, I don't know, maybe he does need more snaps along the way.
I would take it one step further and say there are half a dozen players on the starting offense that didn't play either
That's a great point.
in a year, or Zach Martin missed 6 games and Zeke was playing hurt a lot of last season, especially down the stretch. And we're talking about Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Blake Jarwin. So, I mean, they as a group, I think it would be beneficial to get out there, have a nice, efficient drive or two in preseason. I think that's good. Hall of Fame game, I mean, typically that's reserved for the young guys, especially back in the day when it was 5 preseason games. But, yeah, I think at some point it'll be good for the entire group to just get out there against an opponent for a little bit.
No, I think you're right, and probably not the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
That's going to get punted, right? But after that, no, they need to be out there. I mean, you're right. You can't just turn it on, especially at the quarterback position, right? You got to play quarterback. I remember, and I think I've told you this story, one summer, it's probably after around 94, and Emmitt Smith had won a couple rushing titles, and they basically weren't going to play him in preseason. Mm-hmm. And so I go up to him, I said, well, don't you have to get out there and get used to getting hit again? And he looked at me, he goes, are you crazy? I know what it feels like to get hit. I don't need to be reminded, right? And I said, okay, I retract the question, Your Honor. It was pretty funny. And he had a point, I think, from a running back standpoint. Whatever you're doing in practice, you're getting hit a little bit. Because back then they actually hit in practice.
Yeah,
true.
And took people to the ground at times. So.
A little bit different than the quarterback position now,
yes,
where they're protected in practice. You don't actually have that physicality back and forth, and maybe it does take a little bit of an adjustment period to finally get back and get used to that. Now, switching over to the defensive side of the football, of course, practice 1 was a positive uptick for the defense, and I think the offense kind of got back after them yesterday. Even Zeke talked about it in his press conference after the first day on the gridiron. He said, hey, it was nice seeing the defense get after us a little bit. It was nice to have a little pushback. And then turning around yesterday, I think the offense may have had the upper hand, Rob.
Yeah, I do. I think we touched on the connection between Dak and his receivers. I thought there were some nice throws the last couple days by Garrett Gilbert, by Ben DiNucci. We didn't see Cooper Rush yesterday. Apparently he's got a tight back. So we'll see how that goes, day to day here going forward. They do practice again today. But, yeah, I thought it was just more efficient in the drills from the offense. But defensively, there were guys, Mick, that continued to stand out. I mean, Trayvon Diggs continues to make plays on the ball. Micah Parsons continues to be everywhere, working different drills. You'll see him rushing off the edge. You'll see him covering 50 yards downfield in a 7-on-7 drill to go break up a pass. And Randy Gregory is looking, and I again.
No, say it. Say it, Rob.
No, let's just
put it out there. Say it with your chest.
Everything has to be a disclaimer. They're not in pads. We've been here 2 days. But yeah, at dinner last night, we're talking about where's the cap room to re-sign him to a big deal after the season because he's going to have a big year.
After the season, get it done.
Well, yeah, or now.
I'm cool with that too.
Brad Sham was giving him a gold jacket yesterday while we were watching practice.
That's who I had dinner with last night, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, maybe that rubbed off a little bit. Yeah. But, say it with your chest, Rob. Randy Gregory's going to have a big year, right?
What we've seen, absolutely. And what we saw in 10 games last year with 20 snaps a game, you extrapolate that over 16 games. He had 3.5 sacks. He can be a double-digit sack guy for this group, and I think he needs to be because it's not a super deep position that they have.
That's another mistake they made last year. After he was eligible to play, giving him only 20 snaps a game. Are you serious? He was the best thing they had out there rushing the quarterback, and they were kind of just gingerly using him. You guys might have missed this because I wrote the column about him just before we kind of all went on vacation. But I basically pointed out he was my Mr. Relevant. He needed to become relevant this year and take over and take that step to the point where they thought what they were getting when they drafted him in the second round in 2015. He needs to be a stud out there. They need that, and from everything we're seeing, it's only 2 practices. Pads aren't on, but boy, he is active. And I'm not talking about just rushing the quarterback. He stopped 2 runs that were major for a right defensive end to set the edge. The first time they tried to get Zeke outside, and he turned him back inside because he beat him to the outside spot. And then the second time they tried to run an end around to suck in the defensive lineman going one way, and I believe it was CD was coming the other way, and he would have dropped him for maybe a 5 or 10 yard loss on that end around because he jumped on the outside and he was fast enough and quick enough. I'll tell you what, it's a good start to training camp for him. And if you consider this is his first training camp since 2018 and his first offseason since his rookie year, and I think it's starting to show that, boy, he's 6'4". I don't know what they've got him listed weight, maybe about 250, 260. And
his body is completely different than when they
got him
drafted
at 258. And you remember when he got here, he was 240, and by the end of training camp, he was 230 because he couldn't keep the weight on. And he just looks like he should be in number 94, by the way.
Yeah, and you mentioned
it's a bold statement, Mickey Spagnola.
That's high praise.
I like
it.
it.
You mentioned his run defense, which people gets lost with Demarcus Lawrence too, because that's a part of the position that nobody talks about. But I do focus on his pass rush ability first. That's why I asked Dan Quinn about it the other day, because if you watch him in these, and we've seen him play obviously, but you watch him in these pass rush drills, it is rare bend around the edge. The way he can bend and get inside to the quarterback, I've tweeted this last night. I haven't seen a Cowboys rusher do that since I've been here. Demarcus Ware's in the Hall of Fame, better player, but
not as bendy.
He has rare bend. He really does. And like Mickey said, it just comes down to him being available. And based on what they did or didn't do in free agency in the draft, they're counting on him to play most of the snaps and all the games at right defensive end because it's not a super deep position. They address tackle. We talked about that the other show, but not as much on the edge, and Micah Parsons can help supplement that a little bit.
We could just name him the Rubber Band Man.
I like that.
Because he's bendy. I like that a lot. Before we take this to break, I want to kind of keep this going and look on the positive side of things. What can the ceiling be for both Randy Gregory and Demarcus Lawrence if they're both on the field at the same time? Because that's a problem for offenses. That's going to be an issue. What is the ceiling if you had to put those guys out there and they're both healthy and starting? I know Demarcus Lawrence is on the PUP list at the moment. He should be ready to go by week 1 is what we've been told. So if they're both out on the field, what is the top of what they could do, Mick?
Oh, this team, if they do what we think they should do, then their sack total as a team is going to rise greatly.
You think it could double from last year?
They ended up with 30.
I think 30 something?
35, 37, something like
that. I'll give you the exact
which
stat
is
here
not good. It's almost
way low.
Average.
Yeah.
It needs to be in the 50s. And if they can do that together, and Demarcus Lawrence has his Robin on the other side, they could possibly both reach double digits.
31 sacks last year for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't gotten sacks as a team in the 50s probably since Wade Phillips was head coach.
Probably
2009, my guess is.
D. Ware in his prime. Anthony Spencer was a very good player, and I think that was the last time they had two guys with double-digit sacks. I think that's the ceiling. I think that's, with a healthy Demarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory playing an entire season, hopefully, I think that's definitely possible. We got a mailbag question about, the over-under on between those two guys and Micah Parsons. Could they get 25 sacks just between the three of them? I think it's possible.
Oh, I think it could.
I mean, it's possible, but a lot of things have to go right. And, it's hard to project a little bit because Randy has played so little. He's played 30 games in his career, but the talent is there. It's so obvious.
You also remember that this is going to be a 17-game regular season.
Yeah.
You could double that number to 60+.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to.
Let's up the ante then.
We could turn it up all the way.
It's going to be 5 more than we predicted.
5 sacks a game from Mickey Spagnola.
The other thing, too, is can the offense stay healthy and build leads where your defense can tee off a little bit?
Can get after it.
When you're playing from behind like you did every game last year, that's a little difficult to do.
I saw an interesting thing after practice. I hung out back down the other end, and we had a little one-on-one schooling going on, taught by Professor Tyron Smith to the young Micah Parsons. They were practicing his get-off in pass rush, and Tyron was trying to show him that if you're going to use that inside spin move, you got to make contact with me before you start spinning. Because if you start spinning before we have contact, I'm just sitting here waiting on you, and I'll just punch you out. So he was making sure that make sure you get into the left tackle before you start spinning. It's sort of like that. Was it Blazing Saddles when the guy was, the sword? He was zipping it around.
I never saw it.
And the guy he was zipping it at's looking at him very quizzically, and then he picks out a gun and shoots him. So the point is, you got with this. Don't be doing all these fancy moves when you're 3 yards away from the guy you're trying to beat. You got to get into him. So then he finally got him to get into him on the spin move, and then he was showing him how he's got to use his hands to knock my hands off. And they went at it for a good 10 minutes, and finally near the end, he got Tyron. And Tyron just sit there and smile like a proud papa, right? And it was very interesting, though, that he pulled him aside, and they actually worked on that.
That's an awesome note, because that also just tells me that Micah Parsons bookended his practice yesterday with getting out there early. He was working with Dan Quinn. There's a video on my Twitter of that, working on his pass rush moves.
Right.
Yeah. And then he bookends it with having Tyron Smith talking about his pass rush moves.
And the key thing for him is if they're going to play it the way they did in standard defense with 3 linebackers out there, they had him on the strong side. And when he was on the strong side, he was playing on the line of scrimmage,
yes, he was.
Right in front of the tight end. So that lets the offense know, okay, is he going to cover my guy one-on-one, or is he coming? And I thought it really looks like an interesting possibility, because he was running with those tight ends, by the way. It's almost like, running with the tight ends on that one scramble drill. CeeDee Lamb was screwing around at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden he takes off and just goes deep almost to the end zone. And who's running with him? Micah Parsons.
Number 11.
Step for step. It was number one, right? Draft choices.
Yeah.
Step for step down the field.
He's been lined up with Zeke, too. Covering Zeke, which is no easy task as well. I mean, his versatility is uncommon. It really is.
I was just wishing, and no offense to anybody, that Anybody that said, no, they shouldn't have taken a linebacker that high should be out here and watch what this guy's doing.
Yeah, he's pretty special, and he's taking advantage of every opportunity he can throughout practice. As a rookie, that's certainly important in his first training camp. Another rookie taking advantage of his time on the practice field, Nashon Wright. Can he somehow play his way into a starting cornerback role? Well, that's one of the fan questions we've got when we return for Fans on the 50 here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Geico.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands, with Essilor lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more, Essilor here on Talkin Cowboys. I forgot my Essilor lenses today. Oh, I'm upset about that. That's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me. I got to be better.
You can't have that. We have practice here.
No, we got practice. I know.
They're actually contact lenses. They're in regular glasses.
I have the contacts in right now.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I didn't have the Essilors on. So I'm not seeing as clearly, Mick. I can't see your face from here because of Essilor. But they do a great job over there, and are going to hook Rob up here in a couple weeks, and that's exciting. Excited to get Isaiah in a training camp. He's going to be here in a couple weeks, or I guess about a week from today or tomorrow, something like that. He comes in, and he's going to be here for a week of training camp, and he'll have the goggles back out for the Essilor read, no doubt about that.
Know it.
We got some time now for some Fans on the 50. Christine hit that sounder in the back. Starting things off with the one that I teased going into break, and we'll start with you on this one, Mickey. And you can feel free to downplay this if you want, but of course, Nashon Wright, cornerback, rookie out of Oregon State, has really looked impressive. Is there a chance, any realistic scenario, that he plays into a starting role the way that he's been performing this offseason?
If he does, he's going to have to change sides.
Okay.
Because he's playing behind Trayvon Diggs, and he's probably not beating him out for a starting job.
Diggs has looked really good, too.
Yes, he has. So, and on the other side, they've got Anthony Brown and Kelvin Joseph. So it'll be interesting how they decide to maybe move him around. I don't think he's a slot corner at his size. He'd have trouble there. But, who knows? One of the other corners can play inside. Anthony Brown's played inside. I would think
could play inside.
Kelvin could play, but I haven't seen him in the slot yet. And then you can bring him in if Kelvin was a starter to play the other side. But so far he's been on the right side behind Trayvon Diggs. So we'll see on that. All I know is they went through growing pains with a rookie corner last year, starting game 1. I don't know you want to go through that again.
And there's 2 of them that are clamoring for a starting job, Mr. Kelvin Joseph and Nashon Wright at the same time, Rob.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I mean, I think from an experience standpoint, I like Trayvon Diggs put his name in pen for starting cornerback job. He's got one. I would still lean toward Anthony Brown on the other side to give you some more experience, at least week one. That's just my projection. Sure. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I think Kelvin Joseph will push, and I think he'll play his rookie year, maybe be a starter at some point. And Nashon Wright will be continuing to develop and be there potentially. But I go back to what happened last year. Every cornerback got hurt. So both guys have to be ready to play. And there's a chance that based on injuries, Nashon Wright might be a starter at some point as a rookie. Maybe that's not the plan, but it could happen. So he's got to be ready.
As a top 100 pick, I mean, the question from Ernie was, is there a realistic scenario? I think there definitely is a realistic scenario because, like you just said.
Well, where are you putting him?
I think it would be an injury sort of deal. That's what I was kind of leading to, is that there's anything is realistic at this point, and we saw that last year in 2020. I'm not saying he would play into a starting spot unless there's somebody in front of him that's not on the depth chart anymore via injury, and that's kind of the way I was thinking, which is definitely realistic, but I think there's some dominoes that have to fall first in order to do that.
They asked the question?
Ernie,
let's get the pads on first before we get starters.
Has he looked impressive, though? Yes.
Yes, because every practice he gets a hand on the ball.
Yes, he does.
Now,
change of direction.
I don't know who's throwing it. I don't know who he's covering all the time, but he gets his hand on a ball.
2 of his PBUs in practice number 1 came against number 4.
Yeah, but number 4 is just throwing the ball.
That's true. But you still got to get a hand on the ball.
Let's qualify.
Give him a little bit of credit.
I just want to slow the steamroller down just a little.
That's okay. We can do that. How does Jarwin look so far after returning from his ACL injury? That question is from Jake, Mickey Spagnola.
I wrote a note down here. Jarwin running real well and cutting. So to me, he doesn't look like he's got any lasting effects from the torn ACL. He's running well. He's cutting well. Now he just needs to get in the flow of the offense after he missed, all but 20 snaps last year. Mm-hmm. It was 20 snaps, I think, in the season opener, and then he got hurt. So, he looks fine to me. I think they've got something going with a 2 tight end offense, too. Unfortunately, that means one of the wide receivers has to come off the field.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, how much are they going to get away from 11 personnel? Because that was like 2/3 of the time that's what they did, I want to say.
For good reason?
For good reason.
Because you have 3 studs on the outside?
Yeah, but to Mickey's point, I think Blake and Dalton Schultz have skill sets that complement each other as well. So I think that's a package you can get to. I'm with him. I think he's looked good. I haven't seen any effects from the knee. I think there was one route on air between Dak and Blake that they missed each other on yesterday. And that's just, I think it's probably just a timing thing, just getting him back in the flow and getting his timing back, and that'll come.
One of the notes that I wrote down, and Mickey and I were standing next to each other for a good amount of practice yesterday, and I said, Jarwin looks 100% healthy, and he looks a little bigger, too. And maybe that's just because I'm closer than I have been, because whenever I started doing on-air work, we were up in the booth and doing whatever different things.
Well, if you think about it, when you're rehabbing like that, strength, a leg injury, then, nothing stops you from upper body weightlifting and putting on, good weight with spending time in the weight room. So, I think he probably does look a little bit bigger.
Yeah, no, I agree. This final question comes from Chewy, great name, by the way, on Twitter. Who is likely to be the punt returner at the start of the season? And the reason why he asked this question is he says, please don't let it be 88 because he's too valuable.
What's his name?
Chewy.
Chewy.
Sorry, Chewy.
Chewy.
Yep.
You're chewing up the wrong. Number 88 is going to return punts because he is valuable.
Yep.
The punt return's not a blow-off play, right? It's significant. And if I got a guy that can do what he can do, he's out there returning punts.
I agree with you, and he did have some explosive plays, and he nearly had some more last season, which they haven't had in past years.
Nope.
They've had reliable guys. Cole Beasley was reliable, but he wasn't going to get you, a 20-plus yard return. CeeDee Lamb can do that. I'm not saying Amari Cooper is going to miss a bunch of time here, but if they are, just hypothetically, if they were to have some depth issues at wide receiver, would you change your thinking during the season?
No. Now, you said reliable. If I need reliable, I put Cedric Wilson out there. Just go catch it, right? If I'm not going to return the punt.
Safe return.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But did you see the guys catching punts yesterday?
Yes.
And I was off the jugs machine. But everybody, almost everybody, we're on camera, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so almost everybody,
we're on the air, yes.
Everybody's sitting there ready to catch the ball. That's this thing, right? They're just adjusting every step of the way, right? He stands there like this, and then all of a sudden he puts his hands out and catches it. Like he knows where the ball's going to land. He doesn't have to adjust his feet. He doesn't have to adjust his hands. And it's not easy. You saw what Zeke did, right? When he went out there, I said, oh, this is going to be good. And all of a sudden, Zeke's trying to catch it like this, and it's 5 yards over his head the first time. He catches the ball. It's like a can of corn, they used to call in baseball. And you know why they started that saying, right?
Why is that?
Because
I should know this. I used to work in baseball.
Back in the day, in the grocery stores, when they had high shelves, they used to have a pole, and they'd pull the can down, and you catch it like a can of corn, right? So this
is only the insight that Mickey Spagnola can provide you.
That's
on
right,
Cowboys.
Because the grocery stores probably don't stack their stuff that high anymore.
You don't have to get a pole.
Yeah, you don't have to get a pole. Well, people grew taller, right?
Wait, so where are you going with this?
Mick.
Where's the connection between
he catches
grocery stores and
he catches it like a can of corn.
Okay.
Just like in baseball when they say, "Oh, it's a high pop-up," it's a can of corn, and you catch it.
He also had a cool little juggling act after practice where
They were trying to catch as many as they could.
But he would toss one up in the air.
Catch it one-handed.
And then catch the other one.
And then catch the other one.
So he could hold the other one in this hand, get rid of the one in this hand, and then catch the thing he threw in the air. So I saw.
I'm not a producer, but look for that on Hard Knocks.
Who was trying?
10th.
Oh, probably. One of the guys was trying to do it, and he couldn't throw the ball up in the air straight. Was it Cedric?
Yeah, he would throw it out
in front of him. Then he's lunging. He'd catch this one, and he can't catch the other one, right? Well, don't you remember Janoris Jenkins when they did that in training camp that one year when Bill was here? And they were trying to see how many. And I think he caught like 5, wasn't it?
Pac-Man did it.
No, Pac-Man. That's right.
2008.
Yeah, Pac-Man did it. Yeah, he caught like
Mike Jenkins.
Mike Jenkins. I thought it was Pac-Man.
Yeah, no, not Janoris. It was Pac-Man. That's right. And then everybody kept trying to do it.
He had like 6 at once. Yeah. Can of corn.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to think about the decision that's going to go into the punt returner. Great question, Chewy. Got us down a little bit of a rabbit hole there. But at some point, and I think, Rob, you ask a good question because it's a decision that would have to be made. If there's depth issues at wide receiver, or if CeeDee Lamb just takes that second-year leap and turns into maybe the best receiver or future receiver on this Cowboys roster, do you still put him out there? Is 20 yards on every couple punt returns more valuable than having a healthy number one wide receiver?
I just think at this point they're not afraid to do that, to put him out there at all.
No. It ain't, right now, no.
It ain't 20 yards. It's the 60 yards that I could get.
That would be nice.
There's that, and, because the common example for the opposite thinking is, well, they never let Dez Bryant do it. Well, Dez Bryant, I think sometimes with Dez, they were trying to protect Dez from Dez.
Sure.
Because Dez was so physical and wanted to always, not live to play another down. You know what I mean? And I think that was one reason why they didn't do that with Dez.
Well, did you trust Dez to make the right decision?
Well, okay, maybe
like
there's
fair
that too,
catch. Maybe I got a fair catch this one.
Okay, maybe
I wouldn't trust him.
But fine. But there's also, like you just said earlier, there's situations where you can have a safe return, or if the other team's backed up and there's a clear return situation. They used to do that with Terrence Newman too.
Yeah,
you could have done that with Dez, but I don't think they trusted Dez to just go down. Dez is going to fight for every inch, and that was one reason why they didn't let him do that.
It's a good point. When we come back here on Talking Cowboys, we're going to talk about the offensive line a little bit and maybe kind of go deeper into that scramble drill that we were talking about with Dak Prescott a little bit earlier and see why they've been running that so much right here when we return on Talking Cowboys from Oxnard.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game, standing-room-only tickets are currently on sale now. Get yours today at dallascowboys.com/tickets. Final segment here of Talkin' Cowboys. We got to get off a little bit early today because Mike McCarthy's speaking up on the podium here in Training Camp 2021 presented by American Airlines. Mickey Spagnola, Rob Phillips, I'm Kyle Yeomans. And Rob, I'll start with you on this one. It is just nothing but refreshing to see the starting offensive line back together. Lyle Collins, Tyron Smith, along with Zach Martin. You've even got Connor Williams, Tyler Biadasz. The front 5 are out there and they're running in team drills 11 on 11. How refreshing is it to see that again?
Extremely refreshing, and it's nice to hear from Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins like we did in the last couple days. Lyle talked yesterday and talked about how just about the long road back. 18 weeks he was on a walker, then crutches. Couldn't bathe himself at times after the hip surgery. Gosh. I mean, that is the type of stuff we don't see and hear about when guys are coming back from serious injuries. He said he never considered retirement. That was a false report out there. But, yeah, I think they've been out. We've talked about Blake Jarwin. Both those guys have been out there moving well. I don't see anything, that's out of the ordinary there. And I think both guys, Lyle said in 2019 his hip started bothering him. Tyron's had kind of that residual back neck stuff for a while. I think these surgeries are supposed to permanently fix those issues. So I think there's a comfort level there and a great job by Britt Brown in the rehab process as well. If there's a question mark for me, it's some of the depth issues they have or depth questions on the offensive line. Who's the swing tackle? Who's the backup center? Mm-hmm. I think those questions still have to be determined, but it's great to see the starting 5 out there for sure.
So this is a bad visual, but he couldn't bathe himself?
No. That's what he said.
Yep. Did anybody else who did it?
Nope. I didn't want to.
He talked about his support system, that his family was around. I didn't want, let's not get into too much detail here.
It was as sort of refreshing as waking up every morning here and it's 62 degrees. That's how refreshing it was.
We're just in the ditch every segment. What? Got to pull ourselves back out.
Yep.
Keep going. Keep going.
What else you got, Mick?
No, I have no problems with the starting 5. I think it's solid as can be. But, yeah, I'm keeping my eye on the swing tackle, and I'm keeping my eye on the backup center because no one on this roster behind Biadasz snapped the ball in an NFL game last year. Mm-hmm. That's considered a backup center. One of them's a rookie free agent, right? The other one's a guy that played guard that they're moving to center who had played some center at Nebraska.
Farniak did get drafted. which is one
But he
thing.
didn't play in the NFL.
You're right. He was
right.
Yeah,
that was my point.
Those are the two that have had snaps at center outside of Biotish, and by the way, both of them in the first two practice have had a fumble, had a bad snap and a fumble.
And finally, they got so when the stretching's going on and the quarterbacks are doing their deal on the other field, and they get somebody they practice snapping to the center, right? Mm-hmm. And Connor Williams is over there.
Yeah, last year too.
And he actually got a snap with the seconds yesterday in practice and sailed it 5 feet over the quarterback's head in a shotgun.
Yeah, DiNucci didn't have a chance.
So I don't know that they consider read something that they considered him the backup center, and that's the furthest from the truth because Farniak on OTAs and minicamp was in there with the seconds.
By the way, he didn't play a lot of center in college either. No. He didn't really play until his senior year at Nebraska. Yeah, he was mostly a tackle and guard.
He was a tackle guard, and I think they ended up moving him back to guard. So it's been a while. And then everybody talks about Conor Mcgovern. The last time Conor Mcgovern actually played a season of center at Penn State was 2017.
He's a sophomore,
well,
right?
And I talked to him at minicamp, and he said, "I'm basically working at guard right now."
Yeah,
he's not taking center reps.
I see him sometimes doing that pre-practice snap stuff, but other than that, he's been at guard. So
keep an eye out for Jumbo Joe at some point.
Well, I think it's in their hip pocket probably if he kept himself in shape.
You think that could be a after week one thing with the not guaranteed veteran contracts?
Yes, it could be.
It may take some time
if he's in shape. But again, what are the COVID rules?
It's true because it would take about 5 days for
an
unvaccinated player to come in and do it. And we, of course,
he vaccinated? Is he unvaccinated? Is he in shape? Because he could eat himself right out of a job, by the way. So I think they got to let these young guys yeah, right.
I could eat myself out of a job, too.
Let these young guys let's see what they got. And, again, we're saying all this stuff, and the pads haven't come out.
Not one padded practice since the end of last season yet.
So I think we have to wait. But you know what? For the backup tackle spot, you can watch their footwork, right? And it almost tells you, can they do this or can't they do this?
So what do you think about Ninseki right now?
I'm not overly impressed.
Yep. Same.
I would like to see more of Josh Ball. They're going to give him a chance.
Okay.
He may have to get stronger at some point, and I can't do that in a month.
Terrence Steele is still there, taking second-team reps at
and he's
both
getting,
tackle spots.
Yeah, he was back and forth, but mostly at the right side, right?
Brandon Knight, we've seen him a little at guard.
He's been at guard, right?
And you've said this, and I agree with you. If you get into the season and there's a break glass emergency situation, Zach Martin could be my right tackle.
He's my right tackle.
So
I would
now.
do that too.
And
I wish they would have done that last
you know
year.
why? I trust Conor Mcgovern to go in and play guard now.
Okay.
I think the reason they were hesitant last year because they weren't sure McGovern was ready to play after missing all the previous season. And then when they got comfortable with him playing guard, it was like, okay, is he playing guard better than Terrence Steele playing right tackle?
Yes.
And the answer was yes.
The whole best five thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so I think he's got their confidence now that, the drop of a hat, Zach Martin's going out there. I ain't messing around.
So starting five offensive line right now compared to last year's training camp, you feel much better.
Yeah.
At least at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't know about training camp. 2 games into the season, I feel much better, right?
That's true.
Because you didn't have Lyle Collins. You didn't have Tyron Smith.
Collins was only out at training camp one practice
I don't
last
even
year?
think he did.
He was
out there for a little bit.
What?
Practice.
Did he get on the field
Yes.
like in a team situation?
I'm not sure about team.
I don't think so.
He was definitely
I went
doing
back and looked at my
individual.
notes. He did because
Okay.
it's in this notebook. But
Not much.
he got out there for it was like 4 snaps though, Mick.
Yeah.
It was not.
He was trying to push through this hip thing,
Yeah.
and they've just decided we've got to do something. So,
and
yeah.
then you got to remember Travis Frederick wasn't there. That, right?
And there were a
They're
lot
trying
of
to
questions
replace
around
him.
that too.
Right. And so, all of a sudden, everybody just assumed Joe Looney was your starting center. I guarantee you, had they had an off season and preseason, Biotish would have beat him out by time the season opener.
I think I'd agree.
Do you think it was weird that when Tyler got healthy, they didn't put him back in down the stretch last year?
Yes, I do, but he got healthy, and then, okay, now he can put a uniform on, but was he ready to play? And then maybe for continuity's sake,
they had so many changes.
They said, okay, let's leave Looney in there.
Yeah.
I think he had won the job in those 4 starts that he had, and I think he played the majority of 2 other games in a relief role.
Well, to me, it's like what we talked about Randy Gregory at defensive end. What they haven't done at center tells me it's Tyler Biadasz's job.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I don't think there's any question.
It's the backup question mark.
No, it's
the depth that's the issue at
and
the
we
moment.
found out last year how important that is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately for them.
I felt really good about this last segment about the offensive line until you said that, but now I feel
compared it to last year.
Now I don't feel that great anymore. That's going to do it here for us on Talking Cowboys. Hope you enjoyed the last 45 minutes with us. We're having some fun out here in Oxnard. We will be back on Tuesday. Plenty more practice to talk about and plenty more as we get closer and closer to padded practices that start next week as well.
Don't forget the can of corn.
Yep, can of corn. Don't hurt yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. For Rob Phillips, for Mickey Spagnola, I'm Kyle Yeomans. That'll do it for us. We'll see you next time on Talking Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.